And now from Oklahoma City, we welcome NBA insider David Aldridge. And DA, I'd like your perspective on the NBA's decision not to suspend Draymond Green for tonight's game.
Well, Rick, look, I think that, everybody comes to this from their own position and their own biases. So if you're an Oklahoma City fan, you think Draymond Green should be suspended, you would point to all of the suspensions that have happened in years past when there have been connections in the groin area, right? But if you're a Golden State fan, you would say, hey, Chris Kaman had an incident where Reggie Evans grabbed him a few years ago in the playoffs. Russell Westbrook had an incident just 2 years ago where he kicked Tim Duncan during the Western Conference Finals, and nothing happened to those two players. So it depends on your perspective. Kiki Vandeweghe told us this morning that they looked at a lot of different precedents. They looked at a lot of different examples over the years where they had this kind of contact, and sometimes they were suspended and sometimes they weren't. So in this case, while he viewed it as excessive and unnecessary, the fact that they did not believe that Draymond Green had a bad history in this regard, helped him with that. And obviously they understand that if you suspend them for a game, even though you say you're not impacting the series, of course you're impacting the series. So that was part of the decision-making there. So I'm agnostic on it. I would not have been surprised if he had been suspended. I'm not surprised he wasn't.
DA, when you look at the Warriors and you look at Draymond Green, what type of impact emotionally and psychologically is this having on him? When this type of pressure and this type of media focus is on a player, sometimes they wither under this type of pressure. How do you see Draymond and Golden State approaching this situation tonight?
Well, Zeke, that's a great question. In fact, Reggie Miller talked about that this morning with us, that, you don't know what kind of heat is until you're under playoff heat. There's one thing to get booed when you're being introduced. There's another thing to get booed every time you touch the ball, every time you take a shot. Now everybody in Golden State, of course, says the right things. We expect Draymond to be Draymond and all that sort of thing. But it's a good question. I don't know how he's going to respond to this scrutiny that he's been under the last couple of days. He tried to play it cool at shoot-around this morning, but, tonight when there's 19,000 in here, we'll see how he reacts.
Hey, DA, I'm curious to know, get your perspective on this. Listen, the Warriors have been down 2-1 before. We saw it in the finals. We saw it in the conference finals a year ago, or I should say the semis. But do you get a sense that they have the same mindset, mantra, moxie going into this matchup that we saw before? Because those teams, Memphis and Cleveland, the reality was they didn't have the firepower that you see with this OKC team. Do you sense that do they have the same level of confidence going into this game that we've seen from last season?
Well, I think they do. I think they also, you can do two things at the same time, right? So I think they have confidence based on their experiences from last year, but they also understand this is a completely different team than they faced at any point in the playoffs last year. They never placed a team with this kind of firepower, with Westbrook and Durant playing at an incredibly high level, with the supporting cast all contributing. No injuries of significance. So, no, they have not played a team like this in the postseason. They understand that, and they know that while they played okay until that stretch at the end of the first half, they got to play a lot better. They got to put bodies in front of Westbrook and Durant. That's one thing Steph Curry told me, is that they both have to see 3-4 bodies, and they didn't in Game 3. They had straight line drives to the basket. There was no resistance. They've got to have a better effort collectively. And you guys know this in the playoffs, especially on the road. It really tests the team's character. Can you stay connected as a team? Can you stay together if they go on a 10-2 run and the place is going nuts? Do you stick with what got you here, or do you start resorting to hero ball? That's what I want to see from the Warriors tonight, because we know OKC's going to come out and try to put their foot on their neck in this series and take their heart. We'll see how Golden State responds to that. It's going to be an incredibly loud atmosphere in here, and they're confident, but I think they understand the significance of the team they're playing.
DA, do you anticipate Steve Kerr making a change to his starting lineup, perhaps going small tonight?
Well, I asked him that at shoot-around this morning, and of course he said, I can't tell you that, which is fine. That's okay. I would just say that we did talk a couple of days ago about this very idea about when do you make substitutions during a 7-game series. And his thought was you don't want to do it early after like one game because it gives the appearance to your players that you're panicking. But once you get into a series and you see trend lines developing, you may have to do something. I would only point out that this is the exact game against Memphis where he switched Andrew Bogut onto Tony Allen. This is the exact game in the finals where he took Bogut out of the starting lineup and put Iguodala in the starting lineup. So will they do something? I don't know. I'm just saying their past history shows this is when they make a change.
You're not saying, you're just saying. DA, looking forward to the game. I know you are as well. Enjoy, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, Rick.